Welcome everyone. Committee meeting for Monday, May 8th. Just before we get started real quick, I just wanted to mention that this week starts the police unity tour that our sheriff's department is participating in. It's a bike ride all the way down into Washington, D.C. Respect some of line of duty deaths. So we have Captain Quinn is going, and over to riders, and then they'll have a support staff with them, Sergeant Crispin and former undersheriff. Where else? I believe they're either left today or are leaving at some point tonight, so hopefully they got it right this week. And with that, we can start off with the County Services Committee.
Okay, county services at 6:01. We have 3 proposed action items, but first we have the commissioners. Yes, so Kyra.
I'll take any titles at this
Any,
time.
okay.
So good evening. So we have actually 2 interesting, exciting topics. The first one being Medicaid, and the second one being more exciting, causing homelessness. So hopefully I won't give anybody agita. So anyhow, so this information is accurate as far as I knew when I was given it, but apparently the information has changed. So the budget this year has been very, very sad. So NISAC actually has the best quote. So I'm going to read you the quote from NISAC because they did a nice job. In an unusual action, and it's more than unusual, there's no language anywhere in the current state budget bills enacted by the legislature. So that means the biggest bill for county government, the Medicaid line, I can find no bills of what we're actually going to be paying for the state fiscal year 24. And that's more than confusing for people who need to put it together and for the county administrator to budget for it if we really don't know what reality is going to be. So there is going to be an elimination of the ACA EFMAP, which was the federal pass-through. It's going to be done administratively, and I'm going to put up a chart up here so I can show you what we think the numbers are. So between NISAC and NYPWA, until probably 45 minutes ago, I thought I knew what it was going to look like, but again, there's no budget bills to back. So what we're looking at is there's 2 EFMAPs. Okay, the larger one was the ACA that we've had for many years. Then the second one was the COVID EFMAP. The ACA FMAP. Well, let me just explain it the way I put it up here. So the state fiscal year starts April 1st. What I have in writing is that the COVID EFMAP is going to be reduced over the next quarters. So I can easily figure out what that was, and that was going to sunset the end of this calendar year. So what I had in writing before is that EFMAP represented over $15,000 a week for us, is what we were able to complicate. So I was able to look at that number. Then for the next number, the larger EFMAP, that supposedly was going to be reduced 25%, increasing to 50% in fiscal year 25 before a full phase out was starting in April 26th. With that, there was a caveat that the reconciliations we've been waiting for, that was over $1 million here for Greene, they were going to just keep that. They were not going to negotiate at all. So we knew we weren't going to get that. Make the page go down a little bit.
Close the doors.
So with that COVID EFMAP and the ACA FMAP, the savings that I was anticipating based on the numbers we have, and I went through this several times, I thought we were going to end up at 5, which would have been okay. We would have came through the end of the calendar year. Then looking at 24 with the ACA savings, I thought the 24 budget would have been 9.2. That's based on pieces of paper that we have. And again, there's no budget language. That being said, if the ACA is stopped now, when we need to do that from April 1st, you're going to go for 10 million. So that's going to be a 19% increase pretty much off the top.
And this is in this year's proposed state budget?
So
No,
No.
Passed. It's a past budget with no bills, so we cannot look it up. We cannot verify. We're getting the information.
That's gotta be unconstitutional.
It's being done administratively.
Oh, yeah.
Have you, I mean, you might have said this already, but
Well, we're gonna administratively close the doors on
have you reached out up to anybody up there to find
So,
out?
all the commissioners have been called to Lake George on Wednesday. Wednesday afternoon, we are meeting with the
Okay,
state Medicaid director. That being said, they may not give us any more information than what we currently have.
well, we have to demand information. I mean, this is a big number for a small county.
Can't expect our people to pick up the slack for this.
them. Shit.
So,
They do. The state certainly thinks you are.
Well, the hell we are.
And.
we only do what
They
we're given. We
No,
work
it's-
within what we're given.
It's almost impossible.
That's exactly right. When that pot runs dry, off the door. Go get it somewhere else.
They'll take it from sales tax.
The
They
what?
can't do that, Sean. They cannot do that.
They can do whatever they want.
So they actually do it from a bottom line adjustment and they zero up the claims. So they can leave the county dry.
I'd love to see the law that says they can take the sales tax from us.
Okay, so I tell you all that because we don't know. I'm standing here thinking that it was gonna be the numbers that we had. So nobody has the real data right now.
Do you think that if people are told they can't get it here, they're gonna stay here? They're probably gonna go to some other county,
I go.
right?
Yep, move out.
So we'll reduce the amount we need anyway, so.
So Medicaid is an entitlement. I mean, the case will be open if somebody is financially eligible for a case.
Let some liberal county with a bunch of liberal board of supervisors or liberal legislators say, welcome, come in here, we'll raise our
So-
property taxes.
They're not doing that.
So
They're
that-
shipping them to our county,
Okay, so
liberal counties.
not to upset you, it's really, say
Too
the
late.
county, say the county didn't open any Medicaid cases. When you look at the monthly report I give you two different numbers. There's a Medicaid number and an exchange number. The Medicaid cases I have downstairs is 3,615. The exchange on behalf of the county has done 14,223.
That's people.
Yes, individuals. So that data, that 14,000 I just gave you is almost 6 months old. I can't even get the most recent data. So they will continue to do the eligibility at the exchange and charge Greene County.
Yeah,
After your-
we don't send them our sales tax. They send us our sales tax.
Or not.
So just quick math, that's like 10% of the population.
There's 49,000 people in.
Yeah, well, she just said almost 13,000, right?
Almost
14
14,000.
out of 47?
Yes.
In the 2020 census was 47.9 or something like that. Yeah, you're right, Tom.
Holy smoke.
So that's the Medicaid news and we
no work.
we
But
don't know all the answers.
that's a senior who's, just.
No, and I get it. But then there's some people who, but then again, it's some of this being generational where there's people who are
Damn right.
able to work, they just don't, or they're in their situation where they don't work to get out of that
There is
situation.
no work requirement.
No, this is so Medicaid is health insurance. There's not a work requirement in that. What you're probably talking about is TANF programs. In the TANF program, you really need to be proud of the staff. There's only 16 people who can even work in that caseload. 16, that's it. I have a whole team on that.
Ira, is this taking into consideration the federal money that's sent to us?
Yes, this is our total budget. So we'll be capped out at that 10 million.
Wasn't the state withholding some of the federal money? at one
If it's a
Yes.
20%, they're keeping it.
Yeah, so since 15, they stopped doing the reconciliation. But basically what happened at year end, they gave you estimates for 3 quarters. Then they did the accounting at the end, they reconciled and we tallied up, but we were always owed money.
Well, I think we need to go back and say, we need our full amount.
So the estimate of
We can't operate without. the full amount.
1.2 million has been in total kept from us and every other county, not just.
Right, not just Greene County, right?
And now they just, well, saw, I think it's 635 million statewide.
We did that 3 or 4 months ago.
I think we need to do it again.
And demanded to have what we were code sent to us. And we've also did it.
And before-
The state keeping that EF on that.
Before Mike comes out of his chair, the constitutionality of this has already been reviewed and challenged. The verdict was, we don't have a constitutional issue to go back to against the state.
So we need the counties to band together.
Oh, they're banded. No, they're all, we've all sent resolutions, we've all sent letters of protest.
Is that in NISAC where they can tell me where some court trial took place challenging the constitutionality? Because I'd love to see that.
Well,
I do not want to hear a judge precedent or a precedent was set. I
no,
want to know if there was legislative law passed at the state level.
That actually went to Supreme Court.
I think, yes.
Again, was there a law passed by the legislature of this state?
I think it was the origination of the program itself and the federal pass-through that allowed for amendment, adjustment, change to be done by the state.
So the federal government is allowing the state to keep this money for
This is
what
what-
purpose?
This is what we challenged Senator Schumer on a few months ago, because 10 years ago, he was the champion.
And her crickets from.
He was the champion of diverting money directly to the counties.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden,
They even came in those years and they checked to make sure we were getting the money.
I think we need to demand it again.
I can fire off a letter tomorrow.
Be happy to sign it.
And I'm meeting, actually, I'm having a county managers administrators meeting on the 19th statewide. We're all meeting in Oswego. This is going to be front and center for us on the agenda, let alone part 2 that she's going to get into in a minute. But the opening statement by Aquario today, or was yesterday, in all his years of dealing with the annual state budget, this is the worst year that he's ever seen as the impact of the state through locals. And allegedly, the state is sitting on a $6 billion surplus. So it really makes no mathematical sense for them. They're not in dire straits. They're not, so if there was ever a time where you wouldn't take money, now would be the time. You can't cry poor.
The state is claiming a $6
$6 billion surplus.
But remember, they got 9 billion in unemployment funds that they spent on other things instead of paying that bill.
Yeah. How much do they take from the workman's comp fund this year? Does anyone know?
Part 2?
So part 2, well, that was exciting. So
Hit me again.
Oh,
Now I'm gonna get a little worse.
are we allowed to bring liquor?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
Are we?
Wednesday night.
Chairman?
Wednesday.
Coffee's gonna be needed in this room.
As long as it's in a mug, travel mug.
Yeah.
Okay, so our homeless program. So obviously, several years ago, we made a team for homelessness. The team downstairs has done really well. I mean, we hit a high in the 70s a couple of years ago. We brought it back down. In this last report I gave you, we're up to 36. Problem being, there's nothing left in the county for us to use. I'm currently in 8 different hotels with those 36 people. Every other county has come in. This has been going on for several months. I know Sean has spoken to the other counties. And I think you've seen some of the coverage. The other counties have had hotels closed, so they need to move people. So basically, the resources we would have used are no longer available for us. So we're in Schoharie and Albany County right now. The Schoharie County trip, I need to take a team of staff members. It's 3 hours round trip. By the time you drive out there, you do what you need to do and you come back, it's 3 hours. It is just incredible, the resources that this is using. The unsafe situations that we find us in, because here we have to make sure that women and children are safe. Most recently at one of the local hotels, the issue was a woman and a child felt unsafe. Supposedly there was guns, and there really was guns. Police came. There was 2 other counties who were involved with that. I reached out to the county and basically was told
Get over
to
it.
get over it. I was told to get over it,
That's a quote.
and that I have no entitlement to the resources.
Do Is there a process when somebody is put into a homeless program? Is there a process to get them a job so they become self-sufficient? So they, because I haven't had anybody apply at my place. I got
Well, you require people to work.
Yeah, well,
on occasion, just 50%.
so you're gonna see for the other businesses beside in the village, they need to have transportation. So most of the people who are homeless, they don't have transportation. So that's a problem. So if they're able-bodied working adults, and that's where the 16 number comes in, they have to comply and they have to get a job, or they end up being sanctioned. And if you're sanctioned, then you no longer get the benefit unless we're in code blue. And then everybody gets housed, even fleeing felons. So people do need to comply to that. The other folks are either on SSI, they're disabled already from the federal government, or they have a newborn child or something. So, I mean, there's like 2.3 jobs for each and every one of us. The issue really is to get them the treatment that they need. We have people who need extensive drug and alcohol treatment and mental health treatment. And we're very involved in getting those treatments and what they need to do. So our homeless population, you know, when you look at the numbers the last couple of years, we've been pretty stable. Our issue is there's no place to put them.
Place to house them, because we're being poached. You know, it's an open competitive system.
Well, can we beat them to the punch? Can we beat them to these?
You can
Rooms?
rent the room without a person and you therefore lock up the room,
Right.
but then you're spending money.
Can we lease space from a row of rooms from one of these organizations, one of these?
What about that
hotels, or-
dilapidated hotel that's on the 9W? I see there's a lot of board.
They put board, they started to do work
Oh,
on it.
yeah, across from the propane store.
Is
Yeah.
that something that we could lease to use?
It's, I think it's for sale. It was.
Is it something that we then could purchase?
But that, I think that one is also
Then
tied up, I
we don't
don't
wanna
want
be
to name names, but that person who owns it, I believe is the same person that owned Quality Inn. They went through the whole federal court system and
And do we want to get into the business?
Right, well, that's what I'm saying.
No, you wanna-
Whoever owns it.
well, but that's an interesting point, because we control who we rent to.
So if anybody wants to know what I think, you don't need a hotel. You need a shelter. A shelter, you're gonna actually weed out people who are really homeless. We have people who want hotel rooms. We have
Right.
people who are looking for certain hotel rooms. When people are homeless, they need different treatments and therapies. They need somebody working with them. It's not like an Albany Mission where somebody's working on the street. The Family of Woodstock Shelter has done an amazing job. They get people to comply. They make sure people have, a shower, some food, clean clothes, and they get engaged in treatment. And then the jobs are right there for them to be able to walk to a job. Not
Would
hotel
Catholic
rooms.
charities be willing to look into
Well, we
purchasing
were,
that property?
we went down that route.
Yeah, but I'm talking about that particular property on the 9W where there's already spaces that are there. It's built as living quarters.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I think it needs a lot of work.
I would
Well,
think so.
you know, maybe we contribute a little bit of money to bring it up to speed.
The design,
for Catholic charities
The
to work.
ability to control the inhabitants is limited because you have a lineal
Right.
old
Right.
hotel
Yeah.
versus something where you're all inside and you can control. That was the
Right.
design that we had all talked about, that
Old
Catholic
style.
Charities was gonna run for us. Because that way,
So could we talk to Catholic charities about maybe purchasing that property? Kick in a little money to maybe build something, help them build something.
I'm
and
sure.
then They run it.
I'm sure if we gave them the keys after we bought it, they'd take it, but I don't think they're gonna have the capital themselves to buy
Typically,
it.
that's what they used to do.
Rehab it.
Was rehabbing.
I mean, that would solve some of our problems and then maybe help with the cost of finding a place for these people.
But wouldn't you want something that's more centrally located towards,
Either on a bus route or near the employment centers.
right,
You know?
something a little closer to the village?
We talked about it last time, the last space we were talking about was on a bus route. And we were even able to increase the frequency of the loop as we control the buses.
Well, that property on the 9W is not too far for our buses to go. Need be.
But you're right, we could send a bus there
At what, 10
at 8
minutes?
o'clock in the morning and
Not that.
bring them to the village and they go to work.
Is there a bus route that goes up, Coxsackie, like to Ferguson and to Serta and to the other?
One up, one back.
What?
one up, one back.
So you got
Yeah,
that route,
those
that
are
corridor.
three, or I didn't know, if maybe those places were looking for people to work too, and where you had a route.
Well, Certain has a sign up all the time.
And they pay really well there too.
Pay well enough for them to get on their own.
And part of what my fear is that the migration of the immigrants that are in the city are gonna soon begin to take away the rooms that are now being used by the local homeless population. So you're gonna have a migration south and north over time.
Well, you see that, they said they were busing these illegals up to Rockland County, and to other counties are gonna start busing.
Time.
It's what do we do if we have a Greyhound with 44 people show up?
Hire another Greyhound from Coxsackie Transport, send them right back down.
Yeah, I thought about the same thing. It's gonna be a trap.
We're not a sanctuary county.
So Mr. Bloor did ask me to address the article in the New York Times. There's been no phone calls here that I'm aware of, reaching out to Greene County specifically, looking at any sort of hotels. That being said, I don't think that they would. I think that they would deal directly with the hotel owners, and they would do their own deals. Because they're really not looking for county approval. They're just looking to get people out of their shelters. My understanding is there's 85 filled hotels in the city already.
60,000 people. And counting.
So here's the other question, if there's a requirement for us to take care of people that we place in Albany County or in Schoharie County, is that taking place when Ulster County and Columbia County are placing people here?
Well, that's a big question. I know Sean and I met with Florence Oley from Community Action the other day.
I advise the board.
So basically, she told us there's another van, mobile van of food, and she is taking to one of the hotels that we haven't used in several years out on Route 32. So that shows you that there's homeless people here from another county. They are not doing the right thing. They need to be providing those services if they're placing them out of their county. And that is the regulations.
I'll defer
I
to
mean, I know we sent letters and
So-
whatever, but.
So the email was sent to the state. So basically, where I'm going on Wednesday and Thursday, they want to meet with a bunch of different counties about that, to talk about shelters. Well, basically, people are not playing nice in the sandbox. We don't do that. Before I go to another county, I call the county, I ask permission, because I don't want to put, God forbid, there's a sex offender in there and I put a mother with a child and something happens. I mean, you're all going to be, tying me up here saying, what the hell did I do? So we always try to do the right thing.
We're holding up to our end.
We're playing by the rules.
Absolutely.
Okay.
If there's a homeless person in another county, I need to make sure that we feed them, we get their laundry done, their kids get to school and everything else happens. Yeah. It costs you a lot of money for me to do that.
I bet you it does.
But we do not dump anybody. It's our responsibility. So now that I brought all this bad news and you all look like I just did something to you all. We're hoping we're gonna have some good news. But if you want to buy that property out in 9W, just let me know.
Well, I think we should look into, at least, is it available? Would Catholic Charities be willing? I know they wanted to partner with us in the past. I think it's worth investigating.
Contractually, let's not forget that.
Right, I think it's worth investigating to help guy out here with this situation.
The old Milroy property gets sold yet?
Yeah.
It's right
Yeah,
next to
somebody else.
Fresh Shopper.
I-
Bill Carlisle.
Oh, we have Carlisle sold. We don't have we don't at this point have a development plan on that yet.
There's been several proposals on that location, but nothing is developed that I'm aware of.
It was under new ownership.
I just think that property on the 9W, you have that corridor, like Mike said, you have a bus that could drive in that direction, a bus that could drive in that direction. There's jobs for them to get.
Was that the town?
Typically, Catholic Charities has done that type of rehab stuff before. I don't know how deep they got into it, but they were actually, one of their reps told us that the proposal that we had on the jail property just south, or property just south of jail, the new construction was a new thing for them. They generally.
But it sounds like it would save us some money as well by doing it.
Well, the problem
Matt, is that
Because
nobody-
if I was traveling to Schoharie County.
Nobody wants
Albany,
homeless as their neighbors. Nobody wants pedophiles as their neighbors.
key,
Be honest, it's just the way it is.
the key to the shelter is that we control the movements and the activity of the house. Right, when we scatter them across the county in hotels, they get their own facility, their own TV, their own shower, their own, and they can make their own rules because we can't be in 10 places at the same time. If you have a single facility, then you're much more able to make sure that meds are distributed at the right time, that someone doesn't fall off on bed.
And would Catholic Charities be monitoring that, or would we have to be responsible?
No, they would.
Yeah, we're looking at a model for
We
that.
just write a check.
Yeah.
Basically.
Might save us in the long run.
Well, next to the jail, will that stop with the 21 West proposal?
Well, I didn't think there was a little bird too, the environmental study.
That site is, has limitations from a wetland standpoint. The redevelopment of the site would be a little bit expensive as a replacement. Was it 3-to-1 or 10-to-1 on federal wetlands, not just state wetlands? But, and we can't go on the actual jail site because the jail site is deed restricted to jail operation or law enforcement activities.
Honestly, you don't really need more than 1 acre for a homeless shelter.
What's that?
You don't need more than an acre for a homeless shelter.
Yeah, I forget the footprint that we had, but we had.
No need to be complicated, dorm style, open,
Yes, yes.
split half Morton building, showers for women and beds for women and
We
children, and
included some.
beds for men on the other side with a wall between them.
I mean, I think we had many women in that.
Well, conceptually it was there, and we even had 2 family suites as well.
We
at
did,
one time.
we did.
And there was a warming shelter, so that during cold blue operations, you don't give somebody a bed, you just got to get them into a warm building when the temperature falls below 32 degrees. But we had all that conceptually designed, and we kind of lost the location, is really what happened, the geography. But it was gonna be expensive.
It was gonna cost more than our current model that we have.
It only made sense to put 3 pads up there. If we were gonna do it, it was too expensive to just put the 1 pad.
Right. That's right.
That's why that.
Because remember, we're gonna have to bring the water and sewer
Right.
over,
Right.
the gas line over, et cetera. Well, I'm not gas anymore. But the development and operational cost would have been more expensive, but the argument is with the product of the person who you are placing there, is it more successful because they can meet your goals, given in a controlled environment, making sure the meds are taken. They have to have, there's discipline involved. It's not wild parties that may happen now when we put you randomly in a hotel room.
I'd be interested to see what that property, how much they're asking for that property on the IW.
Okay.
To see if that's a possibility, and would Catholic Charities agree?
How much room is available? How much acreage is at your solid waste site, like Catskill, or your solid waste site up in Zaki?
At the solid waste in Kawasaki is relatively,
But it's probably next to it is for sale.
but yeah, behind it and as well as adjacent to it is open lots for sale.
Yeah, the property on Plank,
Right,
50
right?
some acres, I want to say.
Correct. West
Yeah, just-
End,
That's sliced off a couple acres adjoining like your transfer station. You put like I said, a Morton style building where, and I'm gonna tell you right now, you guys know, you have it where it's dormitory style and it's structured, you're gonna lose half your population of homeless. They're gonna go somewhere else. Because they love the fact that they have a free-for-all in these rooms with a difficulty in monitoring. But if it's structured and they're monitored,
And our goal would try to get them to work.
yeah, and go to the solid waste station, clean up.
That should be the goal.
Hand up, not a handout.
What's our number right now? What's our number right now that you're housing homeless?
36,
How much?
36.
And that's been consistent kind of, right? In that range for a few years now, for the most part, or?
But once I doubled up the team, we've been able to keep it pretty much in the.
And you have a breakdown on women, children, and men? Which is the most?
Mostly single men.
Mostly single men?
But we've been able to, adding to the team, I've been able to keep the overdoses away. So we haven't had a fatality from an overdose in quite a while at this point. Now, I've had fatalities in hotel rooms for other issues.
Okay.
but not from overdoses.
How many homeless people are there that don't have interaction with the county?
I wouldn't know because if we're paying the bill, you have to have, I need to see you every single week.
Like, I'm talking about there's homeless people in the county that we don't give any money or assistance to, such as that gentleman that's in Elm. How many of those people are around?
I can't tell you.
They're tracking that. They don't have
They
interaction.
refuse to.
I mean, the sheriffs and stuff, you would figure I had to call for, you should be able to have some kind of grasp on it.
See how you could. I mean,
Because it's even correct.
But somebody's not homeless if they're paying their own way in a hotel. They're not considered homeless. Homeless is where, somebody would be on the street if they didn't have a place to stay. So it's the same thing with the school systems. When kids surf couches, they consider them homeless, but we don't because they're still being housed. So it's just a difference in the definition.
So Kyra, what happens when Sean said this warming, when it goes below 32 degrees, code blue?
Mhm.
What happens if they come in, say, and they warm up, but then they don't want to stay? It's getting colder as the night progresses, and they don't want to stay because they want to go out. They're free to do that?
Yeah, in a warming
You
center,
could be held.
it's not a hotel room. It's just as Sean describes it. It's a warm room, basically with a cup of coffee. You come in and you go out.
The chairs and couch and.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, there's no rules at all.
But that stays open all night long?
And for the winter months, pretty much from November to May, there will be a warming center in many of the upstate counties. 24 hours a day.
So how many people attend the warming centers in the county?
We've had few. We've had less than 5 a week.
So you gotta figure those 5 people are homeless and don't get.
Okay, so what you don't know is that when New York State made the rule to go to a warming center, you don't have to follow any rules. There's no checks. There's no applications. You can be a fleeing felon, so you could be a murderer, or you could be anybody. You could walk in and walk out.
But we don't provide anything to them other than this place to be warm.
That's it.
That's correct. A room,
That's it.
room with heat.
How long are they staying? We have 5 people, you said. Right.
They can
How
stay.
long do they stay, each visit?
They could stay as long as they wanted, but most of the ones here in the county, they only stay a day or so. They're pretty much transient.
What, they'll sleep in a chair in this warming area?
In the bigger counties that have that, yeah, they're truly transient. They're in, they're out. They're just checking it, they're charging their phones.
So
or
what are we
whatever they do.
using, what are we using for a warming center?
But we have to use hotel rooms because that's all we have.
So somebody would come in, we would offer them a room to warm up,
You have to, yep.
and they stay a day or two and leave.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to take an application on. Yeah, no identification at all. Any other questions?
Wow.
Sorry.
So many.
You
But
look good.
I know you don't have the answers.
All right, okay, so hopefully, once we get the real news on the budget, just want to let you know how far apart we really may be at this point, but.
Yeah, if you get some promising news, if you do on Wednesday,
Uh-huh.
could you pass that along?
I'll let them know, yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise, we really need to push.
Thank you.
I'm sorry?
So we really need to push back again if she does not get some promising.
Yeah, really.
Yes, this is a budget.
It's not just our county.
No, it's everybody.
Past 3 people.
That's 3 people.
All right, we have 3 proposed action items. Authorizing agreement, Greene County Department of Human Services Aging and Capital District YMCA.
Overball,
Overbaugh, and who's there?
leg.
Leg over.
Leg and Overbaugh, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is carried. Number 2, authorizing agreement, Greene County Department of Human Services and Marquee Home Care.
Handle.
Handle,
Lucas.
Handle and Lucas?
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is carried. Authorizing lease agreement, Greene County Department of Human Services, aging in the town of Jewett.
Leg.
Leg,
Lennon.
Leg and Lennon, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is carried. Does anyone else have anything else for county services this evening?
So Chairman, I just have a question. This Marquise Home Care we're paying for, and then we have recently approved this unlimited personal care. What's going on with these programs? And what about this unlimited personal care? Can you explain what they're doing for our people?
For right now, we have the level 2 aid that is doing the medical reminding and the showering and bathing. That's servicing both the mountaintop and the river and valley. Where we were able to no longer have a
And is one of our staff members going with this person also? On
We
these
at
visits?
one point had a staff member driving the aid. Right now I have a per diem that is just using the county vehicle for that.
So we're paying, this was a contract, right? So we're paying one of our own people to drive this person we're paying a contract with.
Correct.
So it seems to me like we're paying almost double. for this
Well, for
service.
a per diem rate, they get paid an hour.
So is
It's
there,
not an expensive hour.
The issue is
so
the
was there
firm,
anything in their contract that we were to provide them with a
the
driver?
firm was able to hire a single person who did not have reliable transportation. But my only option was the chauffeur. With the thought that reliable vehicle gets repaired or, eventually. And Stuffy and I had had that conversation about calling the firm back and saying, it was okay for a month or two, but
Right.
you have the obligation to provide us with a person who has transportation. But they're not getting any applications. So,
And there's no other organization out there to
The
help
per
with
diem
this?
that's driving
Oh.
is.
So how much is this person making, given the levels of care?
The agency, I believe, pays them between $25 and $26.
They can't.
Stephanie, there's no other agency out there that provides this service?
No, and unfortunately, I've been in constant contact with Unlimited Care, and there definitely is interest. The problem is the paperwork and the certifications that are necessary seems to fall through. We have applicants that don't have health insurance, so Unlimited will provide a physical to the person, and then when the person gets the physical, they move out. If the person needs to have certification, Unlimited will provide at their own expense the certification, the person will no longer want to be with Unlimited. Unfortunately, I did have an aide that was a male aide that was more than willing to do personal care to. However, I had my case managers reach out to my clientele, none of which felt comfortable having a male.
You're getting free care.
This seems like we're
Go to
paying
mail
for
back
the
to
service
female.
and we have to
We're
do,
getting the service and.
you know,
I agree.
we're paying this company to perform a service, but we still have to do the service or help this company.
Yeah, the option.
Don't waste the money.
You set out, provide service.
Right, yeah, that's the other option.
Yeah.
Stop the service.
can't have
That or
No.
Which doesn't help.
It's an important
It's not an option that we pay them less until they provide somebody with their own transportation.
Well, that's gonna trickle down to the person, and the person will probably quit. Because while the person is getting paid $25 or $26, we're paying 38, I wanna say,
Correct.
to the firm, because the firm's making money. So it'll just
But I
trickle
think what
down.
Carol was saying, the firm should be getting less money.
Well, but
We should be
what I'm
paying
saying
them
is
less money.
they'll trickle that down to the employee.
Right, and then that employee quits, and then we don't have that service for our people either.
Yeah.
And then we're going to
I'm
catch
right back.
22.
I'm right back where I was.
So the firm to buy a car.
These people are being provided this level 2 care as a service. Some without insurance.
I don't think.
Same as this Marquise.
So
one.
through
They're not
insurance,
Medicaid, they are Medicare.
Medicare, so this is
Right.
getting paid for. And they have the choice because they might not be comfortable with a male nurse.
Well, a patient in a hospital or a assisted living would not have that option. This is an elderly person who is in the home, most of which are female. It's not
Wow.
ideal. I
Well, then
understand
Yeah.
Would he wear a wig lipstick?
But is this home care the same thing?
No.
Because this also says level 2 personal care.
Correct. We have not had a client with Marquee since I started as director. This is just keeping the contract open in case we have that for that service.
Could we have Marquise provide this service instead of unlimited personal care?
I've reached out.
If they have people.
I've reached out to all of our level 2 agencies and none of them are interested in this. Unlimited is the only agency. But I can continue to follow it. I'm in constant contact with them. You're welcome.
What's your caseload right now?
For personal 2,
Yes.
care 2, 18.
18. And that's divided roughly geographically?
Yes.
Okay, now can you answer that?
Yeah.
How many mountain?
How many?
The only people that are, Matt and I have 3. And then the rest are evenly dispersed between river and valley. And I still do not have anybody.
Shall we have a ceremony coming up?
Yep, the honor event ceremony is on May 20th at 10 a.m. In the warehouse of the Point. And this year we're honoring John Irwin Cameron, who was killed in action in Vietnam in 1966. The invitation should have already gone out. The programs were finalized today and sent to the printer today. And, we're all set.
Where was he from?
He was originally from Kutsaki. He has family also in Greene.
I thought that.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, we
second
have, next motion to adjourn and handle seconds. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks, Kyra.
Extra than snow.
There he is right there.
Golly.
I'm gonna go home right now.
Oh, you also second bad day already.
Pack the bags. Joint.
Okay, open Public Works Committee at 6:43. And we're gonna start out with our building and grounds superintendent. Craig, what you got for us this week?
Come on up, Craig.
Well, unfortunately, my computer crashed today.
We go.
I don't have a report.
The dog ate the homework.
I've heard that excuse before.
Golly, you'll have a report.
He'll have one. That's what I do. I'll just give you a little update on a few things we got going on. As you all know, the fire downstairs happened 21st of April. We had cleaners come in immediately. Hired a contractor. He's starting tomorrow. Hoping everything 100% will be completed within 3 to 4 weeks.
Jeez.
So we'll have that. It's one thing off our list. Freight Master Building, the roof has been completed. So that's done. 911 center, the roof has, shingles were delivered today. That is being started tomorrow.
Who's doing that job for us?
Sitzer Construction,
Oh, okay.
and that'll be done by the end of the week.
Greg, do they think they gotta replace any plywood or anything?
I think they do.
You think they do?
Yeah.
Along the edges or eaves or?
There's a couple of
Valleys.
bad spots.
Couple of soft spots.
Couple soft spots.
Yeah, if you go inside the attic, you can see where.
Oh, gotcha.
You can see it from, you drive by it, you
Yeah.
can see where the problem is. I seen the shingles delivered today, so.
Yeah. You don't miss anything there, Harry.
I don't, you know that. You know, you see me around all the time.
Retired now. We need to give him a part-time job.
Our shingle tomorrow.
I'll be up there.
6-2. We are gonna start working on the highway buildings. They need a fair amount of work, certain buildings do. We've got quite a list, so I already told Sean to get out his checkbook.
So you gotta prioritize, right?
Yes, that was gonna be on the report, so.
Yeah.
I don't know, did you send that to
No, I did not.
Yeah, you get it up and going, and you just send it to us, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had him look at all the buildings,
Yeah.
barns, the salt barns, to get it, both from a combination of being a good neighbor, so we don't have a deteriorated, crappy looking building.
Yeah.
And also, we just re-lamped, Freehold,
Freehold.
with the kick, I should say kickback. With the incentive. Mike Ryan, you did not hear that. So we're just kind of moving along with all those things to make sure that facilities are, even though the troops only come in, they punch in and basically they're hitting the road fairly soon.
Yeah.
We still gotta have, we do light maintenance in these buildings. Scott, you can help me out on some light maintenance definitions, but they're old, they're tired, but so.
In a situation like this where you've got to do multiple roof repairs, one after the other, can you bulk them together for a
I do that.
bid?
Yep.
If it makes sense, I mean, you're not gonna do an Ashland and a Freehold, it just.
Yeah, I didn't know if there's,
Just-
I mean, there's traveling crews around with.
The contractors I go to,
Guys.
I show them multiple roofs at once. They
Yeah.
bid on them all,
Okay,
or if they want to.
if they want to,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so that way we know. If
Just saying that-
that deal, they know that they're
Right.
getting all, they're getting a better price.
And they're buying, we're not buying the shingles, they're buying, they give you one price,
with a
labor
warranty.
and product.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
If I remember right, we got a good price on that roof.
Yeah.
In Carroll.
I try to deal local as much as possible, at least county.
Sure. Okay.
So, and the last thing you guys never want to hear about is the mental health building needs a ton of work.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff needs to be addressed, safety
It used to
concerns.
be a home.
Other things, not so much,
Right, Harry?
but
But
Right, there was.
Mental health building used to be a home
we
for,
could make that a home.
before,
to make a shelter.
used to be a,
We gotta put like 4 million into it.
No,
That's what it used to be, wasn't it?
Yeah.
4 or 5 million.
Yeah,
Yeah, that.
if Peter was here, he'd say we have it.
Oh, God.
Wow.
That was a good one. He said it'd be $4 or $5 million. That's why the state's doing what they're doing.
So that's
Made a note of that.
pretty much what I have. I had a lot more, but that's what I can remember now.
When will, I'd love to go up there and see that mental health building.
Oh, my
Love to
God.
show you around.
Yeah.
I'm there every
Love to
morning.
see. I mean, once a month, we have to go to a soil and water meeting up there, so we come through that back door, and I did notice one thing. I mean, where's like a block between that side and like mental health itself? Like,
Walk right through.
Well, we call it the $1 million door.
Yeah,
There's
there's a door.
a punch code.
I mean, is there,
You can't, soil and water cannot come over to mental health.
right.
I'm there every morning.
But yeah, if anybody wants to schedule something and, do it after work or
Yeah.
on Saturday,
There was one more.
we would love you to come out and look at that building.
Records building. We have shored up, we put the new temporary wall up, 2 other temporary supporting walls. We took all the interior block down. The floor is not settling anymore. So I'm gonna have the engineer come back and see if they'll say it's good to go for what we've done so far and not have to tear the roof and the back wall down. I still think we're gonna have to, but we're gonna take a shot and see if we can save us some money.
I see all the Verizon lines, everything's. out there
Everything's
now.
moved, yep.
We did that all ourselves? Yeah, we good. Wow. Nice job.
And it's not that much money so far.
Good.
Questions? Charlie, I know you got a question.
He's getting
So with, one thing too, with the freight master building, I know you got no leaks for the roof. And then you had fixed the bathrooms, put a line in.
Yep.
Pump for a pump. Is there a way, I mean, because of the events you have at that we can kind of put some more bathrooms in that? And
In the barn or in the freight master?
in the freight master, kind of make it part of it, whether, is that something that's complicated to do? A small couple more bathrooms
You
where
would have to
people
jack
can
up
go
the
in?
floors.
Yeah.
anything possible.
I mean, just, I didn't know what the balance is between having to have multiple portalets there and the.
I'd prefer to put them in the barn themselves, in that back corner, the north side, there's that kind of that blocked off, it's an old storage kind of room right now.
Okay,
There's no heat in there though.
Well, there's no heat, you
Address that too.
put,
you'd have to drain it or whatever.
you put a grinder pump in or something like that, so that you can
Okay.
put in a handicap accessible unisex.
I'm just gonna say, the portalets stink like hell.
They're portalets.
I mean, they're portalets, I mean, John Q. Public using them, you know.
We provide a certain amount.
There you go.
We provide a certain amount, and depending on the occupancy of the event, if it's over a certain number, then they're responsible, because the code dictates how many you have to have, and they're responsible for paying those, and they either bring them in or we arrange to bring them in.
Out of curiosity, how much I haven't talked to Mike West lately. I wonder how much the trailers are, the nice bathroom trailers, you know, air conditioning and whatnot, if you could just plumb it for the season.
They're expensive,
Yeah,
very expensive.
I'm almost, I don't know off the top of my head, but it was like roughly $1,000 for a weekend, I believe.
Yeah. No, I'm saying if we kind of purchase one,
Buy one and hook
and then
it up.
you don't have to put bathrooms in or whatever, you just literally have your water line and your electric and.
They sit pretty high. I don't think they're ADA compliant, are they?
You'd have to put a ramp.
Yeah, there'd be a
That's
long
why we have
ramp
the
because
ones-
those things are this high.
Our big project, of course, is the shoreline stabilization,
Yeah.
which is important. We're hoping to get out to bid for construction. And then we'll start the sheriff meeting, permitted dock facility down there. Those are in the queue.
Anyone else?
Thanks, Greg.
Superintendent's report.
Remember, you had to fix it.
Oh, my God. That's what he's worried about.
He had to fix it.
Pull it out.
I guess on the agenda for this month is gonna be bridges. We have, it's spring and weather is changing. I see some asphalt trucks moving around. Construction is gonna start getting moving. On our agenda, County Route 83 culvert and pedestrian bridge in the town of Hunter. That was awarded last month to James Malloy for $1.4 million. We have a pre-construction meeting scheduled for 2 weeks. Hopefully get that going in June. County Route 40 in Maple Crest, the bridge out there in the town of Wyndham. We have a public meeting next week. We have some design alternatives that we're gonna propose and see what goes over with the community. That's scheduled for next week. County Route 61 bridge over Coxsackie Creek in the town of Baltimore. We're still reviewing the preliminary designs for that. Hopefully we can get a public meeting for that one shortly. Timberlake Road Bridge, that was awarded last month as well to ING Civil for over $1.5 million. That should start next month as well. Boomer Road Bridge, which is on the agenda for today, that the bids were opened on April 18th. And we received recommendation to award from New York State DOT. Hopefully award that to Benton Greene for $1.7 million. That we're trying to actually get that scheduled for construction as soon as possible. Unfortunately, we got another red flag for that structure last week. In lieu of repairing that structure and spending any more money on a bridge that we're gonna eventually just tear down, we're probably gonna close it a little earlier than what we anticipated. We're gonna try to get through the Memorial Day weekend. And then as soon as that weekend's over, we're gonna end up shutting it down. So we've already reached out to the emergency services as well as the school to avoid that bridge. We're gonna reduce the weight on that to 10 tons. It's currently 15. The engineer said that 10 tons would be sufficient until we actually close it. But that bridge is going to be under construction June or July.
Does the village of Tannersville?
We reached out to,
Robin?
to the highway superintendent,
Oh, okay, to Steve Coons.
Steve Toomey.
So he
He's
knows-
also the emergency service to the fire.
So he knows the date that that'll close, right?
We have not set the exact date yet,
But he knows it's gonna be just about after Memorial Day.
roughly, yes.
And the detour, is that all lined up and
The
ready?
detour is Main Street, because Railroad Ave is gonna be under construction as well. So, and that's a one-way, so it's gonna be Main Street,
You mean South Main, right?
South Main, yes.
Okay.
Platte Clove Road Bridge in the town of Hunter, we put that on the bridge in New York, as well as County Route 20 in the town of Durham. We haven't heard anything. The budget has passed, but we're still waiting. They said that as soon as the budget would pass, we'd hear from them. We have not heard from them yet. We'll hopefully hear who was awarded those bridges shortly. County Route 23C in Jewett, working with Greene County Soil and Water Conservation District. They are in preliminary design. That's scheduled for 2024 construction, along with the County Route 1 culvert in Halkett. That was a culvert due to the new design standards for the flood analysis. That culvert is going to be a bridge. So we're, same with County Route 83 culvert, that's going to be a bridge as well. So we're increasing the number of bridges in our county. We have 138. So by the end of at least next year, we'll have 140. And that's with these new flood standards and design standards, we're ever going to increase our number of bridges now. What else we have? We're continuing to investigate drainage complaints. This time of year, it's been raining, so it's ideal time to start addressing those. Knock on wood, we haven't had any major events this year. Hopefully I didn't just jinx ourselves. And as far as our bridges, I know that there was a recent article in the newspaper. I'm not sure where exactly they pulled their numbers from, but I pulled our most recent data from VETUS. It's the New York State Bridge Data Inventory System. Greene County owns right now, I was just saying, 138 bridges. The scale for rating bridges is 1 to 7. 7 being a brand new bridge that only stays brand new for 2 years because bridges are required to be inspected every 2 years. So basically it goes from a 7 to 6 in 2 years. So 5 or greater is being good. Anything lower than 5 is considered poor. That being said, just because it's a poor rating doesn't mean it's structurally deficient, it means that you should take a look at it. Like I was saying, bridges are inspected every 2 years and there's a rating system as far as red flags, yellow flags. Those are which tell us whether a bridge is structurally deficient or not. We have currently in Greene County, there's 18 structures that are rated 4 or below, 3 of which are on the town system, which are not owned or maintained by the county. 15 of those are on the county system, one of which we've already repaired and has not been inspected yet. 6 of the other ones are currently on schedule to be repaired or replaced, which are being replaced this year. The other 3 are in the system for the State Transportation Improvement Program, the STIP. So they will be by 2026, they should be replaced. The other 3 of them are being monitored. 2 of which just were replaced rated from a 5 to a 4 in 2021. So they just recently were downgraded. We're still reviewing why they were downgraded. But that being said, just because it's considered poor doesn't mean that it is unsafe. I know that the general public, when you hear poor, they think, uh-oh. But that's not necessarily the case. New York State has a rating system that inspects it. If you get a red flag or a yellow flag, it is then inspected every year thereafter. So that's to address that specific study. For solid waste. As we said, the Cooksaki transfer station was reopened back in December. It's actually running extremely well. We're doing 2 trailers a day there, so it's working out as we expected.
What was your activity before?
I mean, really, there wasn't, because it was all directed to Catskill. It was put in a compactor, compacted, taken from a trailer out there, brought to Catskill, dumped back on the floor. It was just a very inefficient process. Now these trailers are direct haul to Seneca. So we've become far more efficient at what we do. Exactly. Catskill Transfer Station Recycling Facility is also operational. It's actually doing much more volume than I have expected, but it's working out well. The hauler is meeting all of our demands for those weights that are coming in. We also are working on a preliminary concepts for the Catskill Transfer Station residential drop-off area. We have some renderings and some ideas of what our goal is and what we're looking for. The idea is to make that residential area more usable, more user-friendly. Right now, it's, if anyone goes there on a weekend, it's a little haphazard. It's very confined space for the number of residents that use it. These concepts will try to make a good flow pattern for those residents that actually use it, which there is a considerable amount that use Catskill. Hopefully we can get those plans to you and have a take a look. That is the next big goal for us, is to rework that station. And I think that is it for any questions.
Scott County Route 61 slide.
We reached out to the same company that worked on Route 2 up in Lexington. They're looking at that. We're looking at that and trying to come up with a different repair procedure. They've already eliminated the type of procedure that was used up there. It's not suitable for that. They did some aerial studies using drones. It's looking like that upper portion and the lower portion are connected, which is not ideal for us. They have to investigate a little bit more. They might have to take some bores and figure out, but it might be more substantial than what we even anticipated.
I saw it was on the list. I want to make sure it's still being looked at.
It's still, yes, absolutely.
I would agree that down near Sickles Creek and the upper slider.
We thought because of there are two moon shaped, that the typical moon shapes of slides, they were 2 separate ones. But when they did a drone shot of that whole area, it looks like it's far more substantial and actually creeps up the hill more than what we originally.
Creeps up the hill, and the Sickles Creek where that meets it, it's tidal. It's tide water.
Right. It's all not great for,
it is, the higher it is.
not great for costs. I mean, it's becoming bigger and bigger. Right. So. Thank you.
About salt.
Oh, salt, yes. Good, thank you. New York State OGS puts out their salt bid. We have to put in our estimates by the end of this month. The county put out a bid prior to that to see what kind of numbers that we're gonna come back to do it by ourselves, and to see if the towns would like to piggyback off our bid to get a better price. We were told by counties throughout New York State that if you do your own bid, you'll get a better price. We did that. The numbers came back $20 more expensive than what our salt is this year, or this past year.
$20 per ton.
$20 per ton more, yes. I reached out to the other counties and they were getting the same numbers. Anywhere from $80 to $100 a ton, which this year was 61.
That's delivered, right?
Delivered, yes. So what we did, we're throwing that bid out. We're gonna go to OGS, but what I recommended to all the towns and villages in the county, fill your barns up right now, because OGS most likely is going to be higher than what the $61 is. I mean, so even if it is $80, you're still, salt doesn't go bad. But the hedge ourselves, we're doing that.
How many tons did we go through last year?
How many tons?
Yeah. Approximate.
5,000.
And we did $61 a ton. We did approximately 5,000 tons. Okay.
And we're gonna fill as much of our buildings as possible.
Yeah.
We estimate we're probably gonna, if we do that, we're probably gonna save around $30,000 to $35,000. So that's, I mean, it's a little, I'm not sure why the price has gone up so much.
Did
305,000.
that change your ratio as you drop at all?
I mean, we're shifting operations completely, what we used to do. We switched a lot of our trucks to straight salt and treated salt.
Right.
That has worked out extremely well for us.
Well, we went for like an 80-20 split or something like that.
We were, I think it was 3-1 at one point, then it was 5-1, then it was 7-1, and then, I mean, really, you can't, I say those numbers, but you're mixing a bucket, a loader bucket.
Right.
So we're trying to go straight to salt, but we've dialed in our trucks. That's why we're upgrading all of our snow and ice control equipment is.
Yes, I know we're more efficient in laying it down.
We can, I mean, ideally, if we put out 130 pounds per mile, that would be great. We were doing 230 pounds per mile. I mean, that's.
Looking at a $95,000 increase if you go, with the $80 a ton. I would think the
It's
state would
substantial.
negotiate a better price than 80. So we'll have to wait and see.
But the likelihood.
Fill the barns
of
up, like you say, fill them up now.
The likelihood of being 61 is not likely.
Slim to none.
Is this a situation where you would start using more abrasives because that's a lower cost?
No, I never want to go back to abrasives.
I've noticed,
No, it doesn't do the job, but the prices go sky high. I mean, like this.
well,
Yeah, that's,
$600
we've,
last year.
what we did, we switched this year to straight salt. We rent sweepers every year. It usually takes us 6 weeks to 10 weeks to do sweeping. We've already completed all of our sweeping. We're done.
And the roads were very good last year.
None of our ditches are
Straight
built
salt.
up. The edge of pavement is clean.
Mhm.
There's residual from years past of what we use for abrasives, but no, we're trying to move away from abrasives.
Scott, on that other item on this B&L,
Yes,
additional fee here, I gotta be reminded, what were the big changes
We were-
that we made?
and we were battling with them for the last 4 months on this cost.
Yeah.
This was the additional cost for foundations. We've already paid it to the contractor and for testing. This was for their additional cost.
Okay.
Oh, not in the spec.
Their design was original. Their design for the footings became far more extensive based on their original expectation of soil. Right. They had to over excavate, then they had to bring in those foam structures. It was far more extensive what they anticipated. And then We got down pretty, this is, the 38,000 is a lot less than what they were trying to go after us for.
Scott, got those proposed action items. Number one, awarding fuel bid. Hobart. Martinez and Hobart. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Number two, authorizing the highway department to enter into an agreement with CDM Smith for construction inspection services for the replacement of Boomer Road Bridge over the Gooseberry Creek. 3-20096-0. Town of Hunter, 1761.25.
Handle.
Leg handle, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Number three, authorizing the county highway and solid waste superintendent to award the replacement of Boomer Road Bridge over Gooseberry Creek, pin 1761.25, bin 3-20096-0, town of Hunter. Leg and Village, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Number four, authorizing the implementation of funding for the cost of 100% of the cost for the transportation project, which may be eligible for federal aid and or state aid for reimbursement from Bridge New York funds. Hobart, Lennon. Hobart and Lennon, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Number five, authorizing the implementation of funding costs of 100% of the costs of the transportation project, which may be eligible for federal aid and or state aid or reimbursement from Bridge New York funds.
Martinez.
Handle.
Martinez and Handle, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Number six, awarding bids to purchase materials, highway department. Hobart.
Lennon.
Hobart and Buelich, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Awarding bid for wash and screen crushed stone. Leg, I'm sorry. Lennon?
No.
I didn't hear, I can't hear.
It was leg and it was either Patty or Charlie.
Martinez.
Leg and Martinez, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Number eight, authorizing supplement proposal number three with Barton and Judas EPC for additional engineering services necessary for solid waste transfer station Coxsackie. Modifications and improvements.
Martinez.
Hobart, Martinez and Hobart, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I do have a request tonight for an executive session for personnel issues.
I need a motion in a second.
I'll make the motion.
Hobart,
Buelich.
Tom.
thank you.
Thanks, buddy.
And we'll adjourn immediately following that executive